Welcome everybody to the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships from Cincinnati, Ohio. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Robin Wiseman for this women's power pool match between the powerhouse of South American Ultimate Revolution and Molly Brown from Denver. Robin, just tell us a little bit about these two teams. Starting off with the team in pink.
Yeah, both of these teams are really known for their fast-paced offense. So the big question for both teams is how are they going to limit the production of the offensive lines? Revolution has some of the youngest and most exciting players in women's ultimate, like in the entire world right now. I would say Gina Cartagena has probably the best case for being maybe the most complete female player in the world right now. She's just a field general. She has every throw in the book and can put it with pinpoint accuracy. I'm really interested to see how she uses the wind as a thrower to really jumpstart their offense.
I love this wind as a thrower. We got a thrower in the booth today. Robin, just remind everybody of your credentials. Madison Heist is your normal home. But you're a coach and you're playing with Yaka here at WUCC.
Yeah, I would say in the last couple of months I've touched base with like 7 different teams in different roles. I'm coaching the University of Wisconsin women's team, Belladonna. I also coach the varsity boys team at Madison East High School. I help organize the youth club championships teams in Madison as well, and then play for Heist. Playing for Yaka, it's been a very fun time to, try some different things playing in the UDL, and then also, playing some summer league, playing some spring league in Madison. Got to support your local leagues and participate. It's a great way to help build women's ultimate locally as well.
Amazing stories. And hopefully we'll have another amazing story down here. This game is a repeat of the US Open final, which was a historic game. Revolution going over there, played Molly Brown in the first game of the tournament, got beaten handily by them, and then tidied everything up and beat every other team in the tournament, and beating Molly Brown again in the final. We were able to watch that in the UK on ESPN. That was the one game I thought I have to find a way of watching this. So tuned in and delighted to see that historic victory. The first time a club team from outside North America has taken down one of the big North American club teams. Can we see a repeat of that today, Robin?
And in the women's division, there's been like the story of American dominance in terms of all the international competitions up until Beach Worlds this past year. Revolution came in, and I think as the tournament went on at the US Open, they really cleaned up their game and got very efficient in terms of the yards that they gained with every pass on offense. They were really known for slicing and dicing through every zone that was thrown at them, and teams really had a hard time slowing them down on offense.
Yeah, we were watching in preparation for this tournament. The commentary team in our bedroom at the hotel had on the US Open final between these two teams. And one of the things we noted was just how effective that Revolution were working in small spaces, just tiny 1-yard clearances, getting a pass off. Doesn't have to be a long pass, just 5 yards at a time. We see Maurizio Moore with his distinctive hat. Started building this team a long time ago. Previously played with Seattle Sockeye. Went back home to Medellin in Colombia and started a program that has built junior champions in the women's division, under 24 champions in the women's division, and then a team that got to the women's semi-final at World Ultimate and Guts Championships in London in 2016. It's just a great story of coaching and the power of coaching and how he's managed to harness the potential of these young athletes.
I'm actually really interested too. Revolution has now built a team in Bogota also, so they're really spreading their wings and really developing youth players. I mean, it's a really exciting time for Colombian youth ultimate as well.
So the time has come to get the disc in the air and begin this vital match. Molly Brown from the USA in white, Colombia in their very distinctive pink shirts. They've been passing around the hashtag Pinkcincinnati in preparation for the tournament. The disc goes to ground, letting that one die. in the grass. But Molly Brown starting with a quick disc from Slattery into the air. Pressure underneath this from Columbia. The two players collide. And it's like she caught her ankle. Gone down in some pain. Discomfort in the ground there. Liza Minor on the floor.
That deep throw from Slattery, really just on a platter. Liza Minor is really known for attacking the disc in the air. In terms of her coming out party as a receiver over the last couple of seasons with Molly Brown, she's really been dominant in the air and distributing the disc when she's on the goal line.
Yeah, no contest on that foul. Moves the disc back, moves out to the wing, and an injury. I think Revolution player who went down in that tumble. Is it Ferrero? That's a big blow for them. I think it was an ankle, was it? She was clutching? Or she looks in some discomfort and thought she could play on. Immediately realized she couldn't. Has had to take a sub.
And Cartagena coming in on Liza Minor, that's going to be the matchup to watch if that's what they're going to continue to do on defense.
Again, we look out for the Colombians on mark. Michelle Phillips marking for Colombia now. They're turning her back, but wasn't able to prevent that big wide open cut from Liza Minor. Lots of space for her to exploit the first point to Molly Brown.
You'll see when Claire Chastain catches that disc, she uses her momentum to turn around to the break side. She's really known for attacking the break side of the field with her around backhand. You can see how she just throws that wide out to space. It's no surprise that Liza Minor is going to find the end zone. We're probably going to see that happen a lot this game.
Yeah, Chastain and Minor connection, one to watch.
Can't leave Liza Minor open, and I think Cartagena knows that she needs to play a little bit tighter on her, especially in the end zone. Liza Minor has just a knack for scoring anytime the disc is anywhere in the red zone.
I did see the Molly Brown team warming up, I think that's what I'd call it, with these big pool noodles looking like massive lightsabers, and they were having some sort of war. I'm not sure what that was, but they bring their own sort of brand of chaotic fun to the side of the pitch. Is this part of their brand of Ultimate?
Yes, I would say that they're known for being, weird and embracing their weirdness. Last year we saw them sporting mustaches. If this year's thing is pool noodles, I think we're going to see a lot of other teams start to bring the pool noodles from the sidelines as well.
A pool noodle with a bamboo stick in the middle makes a very handy lightsaber, I've heard.
I'm sure it's a lot more dangerous, with the bamboo stick in there.
Yeah. Ospina in the center of the field. Moves the disc quickly down to the other Ospina. Laura Ospina on the sideline. Cartagena. Manuela Cardenas. Down the line. Such graceful, fast offense from Colombia. Two clean offensive holes to start this game.
I remember watching the 2013 World Games and watching Ospina just take over as a receiver for the Colombian team as the host nation. Watching her just develop her game in terms of her timing and spacing of her cuts to score on the disc. I mean, she is one of the premier receivers for this Revolution team. And her throwing game has also developed a lot. I'm looking forward to see her initiate that offense, and we can see her throwing skill set a little bit more, I'm sure.
The Colombia at the World Games is a really interesting story, actually, because they were in the World Games in 2013, not because of the quality of their ultimate, but because they were the host nation. And they put together some reasonable performances against some of the teams. I think they beat Great Britain as well at that tournament. And then back for World Games 2017 last year in Wrocław, I was lucky enough to be commentating on the games from Poland. And Colombia beat the USA in pool play, and then were only narrow. Well, they were actually fairly handily beaten in the final. But that rise in strength of Colombian ultimate has really come as a surprise to some of the other established ultimate nations. But they are now in the top tier, and deservedly so. Molly Brown. Minor back to Chastain. high grab from Minor. Chastain cutting through the middle, catches one-handed into the end zone. There's some, she's through traffic, but it was okay. Makes its way safely into the hands of Kalupek.
You know, a fun fact about Liz Kalupek, she used to play for Madison Heist and she moved to Colorado, and we were so disappointed. She's been a mainstay in the mixed division, actually, in the States, playing with the Chad Larson experience. And so when she lived in Madison, we were like, Liz, you have to play women's. You're such a dominant receiver. We just want to throw you the disc everywhere. And I really enjoyed throwing hooks to her as well. I'm not surprised that the other throwers of Molly Brown's team are doing a lot of the same. I've heard a lot of people just talk about who's Liz Kalupek, who is this woman? But she's been around. She went to Iowa State. She's been playing a lot of ultimate.
Just tell us a little bit about the sort of ultimate scene in Colorado and what it's like, because it seems to be a hotbed of top talent. Johnny Bravo and of course Molly Brown up there as well.
I think a lot of the top players are just looking at life amenities. They really want to have like the mountainous recreation that Colorado has to offer. So you see them, I mean, moving from the Midwest, moving from the coasts. I mean, it's a totally different lifestyle in the Denver, Boulder area. And it seems like, I mean, as a team, Molly Brown goes and does like Camp Molly Brown, and they had like a camping weekend, like team bonding kind of a thing before Worlds. This junk look that Molly Brown is setting right now, they really started to experiment a lot with this later in the club season in 2017. Jessie Shofner is really responsible for just going to work and eating up any disc that comes over to her side.
You see Shofner, the number 2 shirt, having to dash across to the far side of the field. Quick breaks and skillful discs. Cartagena, and they've dropped straight away to a one-on-one defense. Molly Brown, Manuela Cardenas. Ospina has to go to the knees to collect that. Back to Cartagena. Far side of the field. Again, the athleticism of Revolution. Using the space, using the speed of their discs. They have a very player-based system. Mauricio Moore encouraging the players to develop their own style, their own skills. But you cannot hang a disc like that up into space in front of the Molly Brown zone. It's going to get snaffled, and it does. Turnover. And an injured Alika Johnson just went over on the ankle there.
That D by Sam Peltier, she's really known for attacking discs in the air and really doing a great job of setting up the opportunity to bait those throws. So that means when the receiver thinks that they have it, she's really good at taking an inside line to just go and attack the disc and rip it out of the air.
And they were looking very smooth up until that point, but that last disc just caught in the breeze. Any mistakes are going to be punished by this Molly Brown team. Chastain, downfield, downwind. Fast running Taggart collects. Pressure from Manuela. But Hardesty maintains possession. Now to Taggart again. Shofner. Shofner sends to the end zone. And who is there but Mosquera using her speed to close down the disc and knock it out of bounds. They have the disc back.
One thing that I'm really excited to see over the next, club season as that continues in the U.S. is Molly Brown picking up Alex Hardesty, number 28 for Molly Brown. She's been known in the women's college division for really attacking unique spaces as a thrower.
Again, we see the first pass for Revolution is a big swing to expose the space, take Molly Brown out of that zone defense that they were trying to use. Mosquera getting free in the middle of the field now. But it's quick movement between the team in pink. Manuela coming to collect the disc. One of the two Cardenas twins. Above the hands of Cartagena. Lands with Shofner. Chastain. Blast downfield. Mosquera was there, but she couldn't get it out. Peltier has it again. Back to Taggart. Taggart downfield. Applegate. Taggart Back to Applegate. Chastain makes a great cut, front of the end zone. Molly Brown looking to score it. Taggart cuts down the line. Cannot get the disc out. Going to have to be a high stall out, swing across. Reset or jab into the end zone. Shofner waits. Shofner gets it. And it's a quick score from Molly Brown, a break. And Revolution are going to have to cut out those mistakes if they're going to stop Molly Brown from running away with this one.
Molly Brown's offense near the end zone, you can see this on the replay. The handler movement between Chastain and Applegate was something that they've really been developing over the last few years. A lot of give and goes, and all of the marks have to respect that. Leaves that little inside break lane open. You can't let Jessie Shofner open in the front of the end zone.
The dream start for Molly Brown at the start of this key power pool game against Revolution from Columbia. We'll be back in a moment.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
The cotton wool clouds in the Ohio skies over the Lebanon Sports Complex here for the World Flying Disc Federation 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. We're at power pool stages. Molly Brown just setting a little bit of a challenge for the team in pink, Revolution from Medellin in Colombia. Ospina walks the disc to the brick mark. The pull went out of bounds, but Molly Brown pick off the errant disc as it's thrown into space. Lack of communication between the Revolution players. Quick reactions. Kalupek swings around, and that's a mistake from Molly Brown. It's a turnover back to Revolution. But they've been let off the hook a little bit there, Robin.
Yeah, you can definitely see in the background the flags are moving. The wind has picked up. It's a lot more gusty, and it's not really coming from a predominant direction per se. The wind is really swirling around here on the showcase field.
Ospina sends the disc across to Frey. Into Lara Ospina. Back to Alejita Ospina on the far wing. Ospina collects again. Hung that disc up a little bit. Now she sends it deep. Running underneath. Had to look where she was going. Collided with the Molly Brown player. Wasn't aware of Caroline Vlack. No foul call. Just a collision between two players looking at the frisbee.
I still can't believe how close Cardenas was to making that play, even without looking at the disc in the end zone.
The awareness of the 18-year-old. Devlin sends it high, it's hanging in the wind. Kalupek collects, and it's 4-1 Molly Brown, the perfect start from the American team.
Devlin really takes her time and sets herself on that throw, and you can tell that she adjusts the edge of the disc so that the wind can't take it past Kalupik as she's running deep. You'll see the edge that she puts on the disc. When she gets that, she really places it so that Kalupik just has to run onto it. Carolyn Vlack there with the great heads-up D. Potentially scary play, but both of them played very safely to get that turn. Again, the wind is really gusty. That throw is very difficult, but Devlin's really known for attacking the deep space in transition. She's been really developing her throws and her throwing awareness on the Molly Brown D-line over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, the wind coming across, pushing it down, but she gave it so much extra height to give it enough hang to run onto it. Impressive stuff. And Columbia Revolution having to rally a little bit. They've called a timeout. What's going to be going on in the huddle here, Robin?
Just talking about probably adjusting the edges of their throws. They have really good looks, especially in that downwind end zone that they've been attacking a lot on offense. They just make a couple adjustments on their throws, they're kind of getting a little bit too casual, perhaps, trying to finish the play a little bit early. If they continue to reset the disc, make those throwing adjustments, they're going to be just fine. Their offense it's really clicking in terms of their downfield spacing and timing of cuts.
They've got close to the end zone on a couple of occasions. Just need to see if they can pop it in. And but there's been twice where they've thrown it into space. The Molly Brown defense eager to snaffle anything that's wayward.
I mean, Molly Brown's been thinking about this game, and they knew that this matchup was going to happen at some point during this week. They've been thinking about this one since the U.S. Open last year.
Some licking of the wounds, do you think?
I think that they were really fired up to come in and show that they've not only gotten better, but they've gotten smarter. They've also added a lot of new depth, and you see a lot of players playing both ways this season for Molly Brown. The last 3 seasons, I would say their O-line has been it's been a pretty small rotation, and here you can kind of see that they're maybe going more upwind, downwind, and you have players playing both ways like Claire Chastain.
Well, it wasn't just the players on the field who've been looking forward to this game. I've been looking forward to it all day since we found out it was on our roster to cover. A real treat to be able to commentate. And Jessie Shofner with the rolling pull. I imagine she wanted to get that a little further down the field, but happy to have it on the sideline. The Molly Brown defense come to set up. Pick Caithley with the force. Chastain 5 yards in from the edge of the field. And up the line, Ives.
This D-line for Molly Brown essentially was their offensive line last season. So they have a lot of chemistry if they're able to get this turnover.
Torres. Ospina. Cartagena looks deep. Torres comes for her. So does Manuela. Disc is going to float. Eats that up. Manuela looking for Cartagena in the end zone. Finds her the second time around. Plenty of patience, tenacity, and then eventually a clever throw to find a partner in the end zone.
You see the difference in the completion in that throw. It's the same exact space, the same exact force, but she changes the edge on her disc. A few points ago, we saw Sam Pelletier punish her for putting that disc flat. She puts a nice outside-in edge so that the wind can't let it hang up. And Cartagena is there to reel it in.
It's a little bit more up and down, a bit more direct trajectory. No hang, no float.
And you see Claire Chastain kind of expecting the same type of throw. She maybe poaches off a little bit, hoping that the disc is going to float up in the air. And instead, Manuela makes the adjustment with her throw. Goal, and now we get to see the Revolution D-line go to work.
You saw a little bit of the athleticism that Cartagena brings. This 27-year-old physical education instructor from Medellin in Colombia, and one of the most recognizable players.
She's also a very fun person to follow on social media. She has a lot of posts, and she's always throwing, always training, always preparing. It's very motivational for somebody who could potentially be her opponent. I've really enjoyed it.
Have you been her opponent this can Yaka meet them?
Not with Yaka, but Heiss actually played Revolution in 2015 in the Pan American Ultimate Championships in the finals. We were just happy to be there. I mean, they destroyed us, but it was a really great opportunity to get to play against them.
Liza Minor moving the disc quickly. Knee win. Has to throw it through the traffic. Chastain, grateful to see that one with no connection from the pink hands. Lands at the back of the end zone. Great streaking cut from the 52 shirt.
In terms of, it looked like that was maybe a stall 9 Huck just trying to get it for field position, but you can see as she scans the field, she was like, oh my gosh, Claire Chastain is wide open in the end zone, and just puts it on a dime. I love watching Claire Chastain play with Molly Brown because she's able to go downfield and cut. She is so dangerous downfield because you can't just assume she's going to be a thrower. She finds the end zone with ease as well. So I'm really excited to see how they're able to contain her ability to get big yards.
That's always a dangerous combination, isn't it? A player who's physically very mobile can get around, but can also put it. So if you let them go deep, they're going to beat you and be exposed in the end zone. And if cover them deep, they're going to be back underneath and providing the assist for the rest of the team.
You know, I think Mish Phillips had a really good line on getting that block in terms of her placement and even the timing of her jump, but Ni Win just puts it just perfectly out of Mish's way.
So the 3-point margin from those 2 breaks that Molly Brown have scored so far. And the wind whistling around our commentary box. Myself, Tom Stiles, and Robin Wiseman with the privilege of bringing this one to you. Cartagena set off at a pace. Torres sends it. He's going to find her as well. Not quite in the end zone just yet. Looking for some help and support. Can she find it? Yes, she can. Landed on the line. Was she in? And it is a goal.
Maddie Frey is known for some really exciting plays in the end zone. One thing that's really interesting is that Revolution scores have all, like almost all, come from somebody who's on that break side sideline and just kind of squeezing it into that little box on the break side sideline. You can kind of see her first point of contact. She's able to get that toe down in the end zone, stay in bounds. Maddie Frey's been somebody who's doing a lot to get more visibility in women's ultimate, especially in the U.S. She's working tirelessly to make sure that women's stories are being told. She, a native from Atlanta, you know, getting to see her play in the women's division again it's been really fun knowing that she works really, really hard to tell other women's stories. It's very motivational for me in terms of what I do as an organizer.
They've been playing for 15 years, and she's an alum of so many top teams. Viva in Seattle from 2004 to 7, Riot from 2007 to 2011, bronze medal in Worlds and 2 cycles ago at Prague 2010, and been playing with Ozone and been playing with Revolution since Worlds in 2012 in Japan. 38-year-old making a very strong contribution towards this team. The wind building, you probably hear it on our microphones, but it's getting stronger and stronger. Applegate with it, throwing downwind. Minor sends up the deep shot underneath it, but that breeze. How are these players going to adapt to that real strong downfield wind?
I don't know. I'm actually just worried that we might fall off the scaffolding, so I hope that they're adjusting to the wind better than I am up here.
We've got some pretty heavy strapping on our scaffolding tower, but I appreciate the concern.
I'm not quite as much of a veteran as you are in these kind of conditions, Tom.
We've got scaffolding, we've got a replay monitor and headsets. This is luxury for some of the ultimate commentary we've done in the past. Cartagena to Mosquera, sends it, Phillips chasing after it, but a firm hand of Paige Applegate smacks the disc to the grass, signals with her hand some sort of offense. Pitt Caithley the first to respond. Chastain cutting out of the stack, back across to Applegate. Applegate to Pitt Caithley. Cutting deep is Minor. Minor's the target, and she has found her with a perfect disc. Pitt Caithley denying the wind any sort of action on that disc. It arced straight into the hands of Minor. Brilliant throw from Pitt Caithley.
Especially in this wind. Again, you see the throwers on Molly Brown are taking that extra second to set themselves. It's no surprise they're eating up big yards because of those throws.
Molly Brown with better control of the disc in the conditions at the moment. They lead this one 6-3.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost your mental and your physical health.
The team from Denver Molly Brown leading this one 6-3 in this power pool matchup. It's the game to 15. It's Revolution from Medellin in Colombia. Favorite teams coming in, the 5th seed. Gina Cartagena to Manuela Cardenas. Downfield to Londoño. And a pick called coming out of the stack, Sarah Taggart, who's got the unenviable task of chasing Gina Cartagena around the field here in the Lebanon Sports Center. She has the disc again, looking down the line and just sends it across the field. What a disc that is from Gina Cartagena. Beautiful throw into the wind across the field. Textbook stuff, Robin.
I mean, the vision to see that space. I mean, obviously a lot of trust between Cartagena and Frey as a receiver, but that was so difficult. I mean, she had to really put a lot behind that disc, but also a lot of wrist snap to make sure that it was really precise. Really, really hard throw, just beautifully executed.
Yeah, we've been trying to contain ourselves with excitement and just save the superlatives for the really high quality play. But I think that throw was well deserving of it. It was pinpoint, and as Robin said, the vision to see that gap at the far side of the end zone. Everyone else was just looking for her to throw it down the line. But Maddie Frey, Maddie Fry, she's given us some tips on how to pronounce the name. She's said it's Fry, so we'll go with Fry.
You could kind of see when Revolution initiated that offensive set, they showcased that little give-go movement that they're really well known for. And then as the disc moved upfield, we saw the players attacking bigger spaces. It was sort of the exact opposite of what we've seen from them in terms of the spacing and timing of cuts up until this point when they're attacking that downwind end zone.
So Molly Brown on offense, downwind, the disc landing out of bounds. We've had a few out of bounds pulls. This one's going to be brought to the center. Shofner, when she was throwing for Molly Brown the pull, she rolled it out of bounds. At least it has to go to the sideline. That clever little pop to Pitt Caithley, spreading the play across to Shofner. Shofner to Chastain. Great movement from Molly Brown. Chastain down the line. Win close to the edge. No cuts into that corner of the field. Floats one out. It's out of bounds.
It looked like that one may have just slipped from her hands a little bit. I mean, you could tell that as soon as she released it, she wasn't happy with how that came out. We're going to see Molly Brown respond with a zone of their own.
Manuela opens up the shoulders, throws that one floating to Mosquera. Milks it close to the end zone, not quite in yet. Molly Brown scramble the defense, but it's too much, too little, too late. And in the end, Montagna comes to grab at the front of the end zone. But all the movement was made by that incredible put downfield by Manuela Cardenas.
I think it was actually Valeria. Valeria is really known as a thrower in terms of when she picks up the disc, she just winds up, and you have no idea what spaces she can attack. I mean, that is a beautiful upwind put. But what was even more impressive, I thought, was Mosquera was able to just calmly find open hands really quickly and just get the disc in the end zone before the Molly Brown defenders were able to catch up.
My apologies, you're quite right, Robin. It was Valeria. The two Cardenas twins have been on the world scene since they played in the under-23 division, London, in 2015. They made a mark on the Ultimate community because they crowdfunded their way to London and then put in a performance that put them on the map for a completely different set of reasons.
Do you want to know what's just crazy? They are still under 20 eligible. So
and they will be for next year as well.
Yes. I mean, it feels like we've been watching them for a decade, but it's really just so much media focus on them because of the types of plays that they're capable of making. It really showcases women's ultimate in the most exciting light.
I think one of the the highlights for me of the World Games footage that came out of Poland last year was one particular moment between Valeria and Mark Lloyd from the Canadian World Games team. Lloyd bidding very, very hard on the disc, and Valeria is snatching it out of the sky ahead of him. It was, you know, a perfect example of how to play respectful mixed ultimate and real passion from the Colombian as well.
The one thing too, watching the World Games last year, one of the big things that Colombia was pushing was the trust between every player on that roster, and that included like their 30-person practice squad. I think their slogan was something about "I trust you," and I think that they played just with so much trust when they were in Poland at the World Games last cycle.
Right on the sideline, Shofner catches and sends it to Chastain quickly, moving it across the four handlers from Molly Brown. Now a disc downfield. This is going to hang. Oh, it didn't quite hang for long enough. Goes to ground, and Revolution with a chance, having scored upwind, now to go back downfield. It's going to catch in the wind. Can it be red? Mish Phillips keeps the toes in. She kept herself far away from the edge of the field, and then at the last minute adjusted, grabbed the outside edge of the disc. A really difficult catch.
I'm not sure who I was rooting for more in that play, because two of my former Heist teammates were battling for, you know, the disc in the air, and both of their strengths are attacking the disc. Mish did a really great job of getting position, reading the disc, and trying to get Liza Miner out of position. And you can see that she just catches that tail edge, and she checks to make sure that her foot was in bounds.
This is the run to position, slows the run, and then that means that Liza Miner would have to have fouled her to go through and get that disc. Just accelerates that last stride and grabs on. 6 apiece, Robin. Revolution back in it and chasing the half down. Can Molly Brown react and get themselves back on a roll of their own? 3 points in a row for Colombia.
You know, you can't count either one of these teams out. We know that, you know, at this level, I mean, we're watching the most elite women playing Ultimate Frisbee right now. We know that this is going to be a game of runs, and it's going to be about how the teams can contain that offense and then turn that momentum into transition offense. We see that both teams are capable of stretching the field deep in transition and finding their receivers and putting it in the spaces that only they can get. Can see the flags in the background. Again, the wind really is swirling around in this showcase stadium. You know, there's no predominant wind direction, and these throwers, when they're taking that extra second to set themselves before they throw it, they're finding that they're way more successful. When they're rushing those throws, they're just coming off, you know, with the wrong edge or the wrong height on the disc. And we're seeing that the other team is able to read that missed throw and turn it into transition offense.
The wind buffeting us up here in the commentary tower. Myself, Tom Stiles, and Robin Wiseman alongside me.
Mascara from Revolution has really turned into, I would say, one of the more elite pullers in the international scene. She's been trusted to pull the disc for most of Revolution's defensive points.
And you see, despite that elite pulling power, only able to get the disc to half field. And that says so much about the wind strength that we're dealing with here. Flick across to Shofner. She's going to have to get her. Uses the power in her legs to get up to that disc. Lands with the toes inside the line. Amazing play from Shofner to keep that disc alive. I thought it was dead and buried into the scaffolding tower, but it's still with Molly Brown. Chastain.
I've had to play against Jessie Shofner too many times to know never count her out. Despite her size, she gets up.
She has the bounce and the power. Oh, just enough pressure from Phillips. Chasing across to put pressure onto Miner. The disc from Shofner was perfectly weighted. The smallest of margins between these two teams. Cartagena now. Mosquera available down the line. And this could be a body blow if they can break upwind again. Valeria. Strong line they've put on this upwind point, the Colombians. Cartagena across the end zone. Mosquera's there. The wind's going to catch it, and it's just going to blow it outside of the field. Picaithley relieved. No bid required. Molly Brown have the disc downfield. Waits the fast cut of Lizzie Laurie. She's gone early. Phillips underneath this one as well, and Phillips just rises and takes that one. Graceful, perfect timing and power. The Australian imports into this Colombian team, doing what her and her sister have been doing for so many years, impressing with their aerial feet. Cartagena running again, another chance for this upwind break for the team in pink. Around, Shofner bids. Oh, it's not enough this time. Even Jessie Shofner with a power cannot reach that disc. Perfectly weighted into the wind. What a disc from Cartagena, Robin.
She is, again, one of the most elite throwers in the world right now. She is, like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, she's making a case again and again for why I think she is the most complete player in the women's division, you know, in the world right now. We got to see two really great defensive plays by Mish Phillips. Adding her to the roster really takes a lot of that deep defense, you know, pressure off of Elizabeth Mosquera, because, you know, she's able to find maybe like a more explosive undercutter, because we know that Mosquera is really good at bidding on those unders. She's so explosive, and it takes a lot of that pressure off of Mosquera to have to take a receiver as well.
Two big defensive blocks from Phillips there. One, I don't think she actually touched the disc when she was bidding against Liza Minor, but just got enough into her eye line, caused that distraction. Liza Minor not able to connect with the disc. And then this takedown at the near edge, but I do want to draw attention to that Jessie Shofner up. I mean, that looked out from a mile away, but she got her feet in, reached up, grabbed the disc, and then had the presence of mind to get down inside the line, keep the disc alive for Molly Brown. Strong performances from these players and a good game. How much of a factor do you think the wind is here? Molly Brown are now coming out on offense, but upwind, and it's getting stronger all the time, this wind.
You know, we saw that Molly Brown still is trusting their teammates by putting that disc out to space. Those big swings, yeah, even though Jessie Shofner kind of saved that one, you know, they're still putting the disc and using the whole width of the field to find those holes in the middle of that kind of like junk poach type look that Revolution is throwing right now. If Molly Brown can just take that extra second to set themselves when they get into their end zone set play, they're going to have no problem scoring. They've had no problem walking it up to the red zone, so that, you know, 15 meters in front of the end zone line. But they just need to set themselves before they attack into the wind.
It's a long pull, back of the end zone. Chastain catches. And already the zone is set. Shofner with Valeria Cadenes for company. Arms spread, looking to take away options downfield. High stall count discs, more than one occasion. Cycling through Paige Applegate, just rescues that disc. It had gone beyond her, but got the fingers underneath the edge of the rim. That's a nice movement across the field. Pick Caithley now for Molly Brown. Shofner following up in the rear of the field. Chastain making good, better cuts as they advance. They're on the brick mark. Bids from Torres. Sorry, that was Young with that huge layout. Try and get the disc off them, but Applegate still has it. Into the end zone. Pick Caithley doesn't connect. The second time she does. What relief from the 27 shirt from Molly Brown. The first touch as it doubled into the wind. We're on Galaxy Point, one away from the half, and I had doubts that they would be able to go down against that defensive pressure into the wind. I shouldn't have had them at all, should I, Robin?
No, again, you see Molly Brown just trusting that they can put the disc the full width of the field to open up those throwing lanes into the center of the field. They're able to get Lisa Picaithley in that strike, that shortcut up the line, because they swung it all the way from sideline to sideline. I was a little surprised that Mascara didn't make a bid at that disc. She's really known for making those types of defensive plays. I mentioned that having her on a more initiating type cutter has really allowed her to specialize on those types of layouts. Seeing her on Picaithley, that's like one of the most premier matchups that we can hope to see this whole tournament.
Picaithley started, first came to sort of world attention on the beach in Lignano, Sabbiadoro, back in 2011. Trying to remember my years for all these world championships we've had. As a 17-year-old playing on the USA mixed team back then.
She has quite a bit of international experience under her belt, playing both the mixed and women's divisions.
She was playing mixed, I think, at under 23s in London. A foul called. Dina Slattery. Cuts up the line. Nothing in the backfield. Valeria has to come round. And that shot up the line to Torres. Torres continues downfield, but reaching high into the sky. It's over the head of the Molly Brown player, Manuela Cardenas now. And a pick called. Players running into each other. Went over the head of Alex Hardesty. Deep dish downfield. When the scoring end zone was the downwind, and we saw lots of deep play. Big shots going up. Much more difficult to score in this end zone, but they prove they're up to it. Valeria, the scorer. Gina Cartagena, the provider. And they take the half. It's 8-7 here in Cincinnati. This power pool matchup delivering every bit of the excitement we thought it would, Robin.
Yep, and we see, again, Columbia Revolution using that small space to open up that break side space for the other Cardenas twin.
We'll be back with analysis of that first half in just a moment.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. And this power pool women's matchup between Revolution from Medellin in Colombia and Molly Brown from Denver in the USA. And so far, Colombia are in the ascendancy, but Molly Brown started better.
You know, I think that when we started off this game, Molly Brown was using the space on the field more effectively. They were stretching the field deep. They were using the full width of the field. And Revolution was really focusing on just getting the disc to the break side and attacking only on the break side sideline, rather than swinging all the way across the field to open up those passing lanes. They're trying to rely on their throws and being really crafty as opposed to just creating space for people to get wide open cuts for. And we see that they've really adapted by using that small give and go style with their handlers to reset the disc in front of the end zone, and it's opened up brilliant spaces on the break side for their throwers to hit wide open receivers.
Molly Brown went on a nice early run, got themselves to 4-1 up, but in the second section of that first half, Columbia with their own run, bringing themselves back from 6-4 to eventually getting it to 8-7. And they've done that looking pretty clean. Once they've had the disc, they've only turned it back over one time. And quick scores as well.
One thing I hope that Molly Brown continues to explore is how they're able to continue the disc into the center of the field off of a swing. So if they're able to continue to adapt that way, I think we'll see a very different game out of halftime.
It's been an exciting game so far, this rematch of the US Open. Can't wait to see how it continues in the second half. Join us for more in a moment.
My name is Nob Rao. I'm president of the World Flying Disc Federation, or WFDF. With me is Brian Giesel, who's vice president and ultimate chair. You can rider with me, and guys, those are some wacky shirts. So why are you here?
Now we are here because we are so thrilled that the WFDF on last Saturday informed us that we are the organizers of the 2020 World Championship.
We are really happy to get the World to Leeuwarden in the north of the Netherlands. The event will be in the heart of the city. There will be 3 venues. Ultimate players can enjoy the city can enjoy the ultimate. We will be sure that it will be a great event.
And I've had the pleasure of being over. I came over for a site visit. And I think it's a fantastic facility. I've been to a lot of Worlds. Great fields, great hotels and everything, but the one thing that also really stood out for me was your party venue. You've got a huge theater in the middle of it, and I don't know how many rooms you're going to have going for that, but it sounds like you're going to have a great social atmosphere.
What impressed you the most about the venue here, the opening ceremony, and what's going on in terms of the tournament organization itself?
Being here in Ohio gives us a lot of lessons. We can talk to a lot of people. We talk to merchandisers, we talk to event organizers, and we talk to the players, to the teams. We're thrilled to see 3,000 people playing Ultimate. We see what they like, what they don't like. We can learn a lot from the Ultimate community. They're so friendly to each other, and we are so looking forward to have this event in the Netherlands.
I look forward to staying in a houseboat, and it'll be a lot of fun. Decided to have you guys be our partners for this, so we look forward to seeing everyone in 2020 in the Netherlands.
See you in 2020.
All right, guys.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
See you.
We're back in Cincinnati. That little section there about the announcement for the 2020 World Ultimate and Guts Championships in Leeuwarden in the Netherlands. And Luke and Rain, the 2 organizers who've been over here in Ohio just to see how the tournament is being run. And myself, Tom Stiles, and Robin Wiseman here in the commentary booth covering this Revolution versus Molly Brown game. We have talked a little bit about some of the players, but one player we picked out was Jessie Shofner. Tell us a little bit more about her, Robin.
Jessie Shofner played for 5 years at the University of Oregon in the college women's division and became one of the division's elite throwers. She was really given that freedom to explore spacing, timing, everything about her throws. Also being a big initiating cutter for their offense. And she's gone, she started with Schwa in the women's division in the U.S., went to Scandal and played in kind of field generaled their defensive line. And then last year on Molly Brown, Jessie Shofner was really like key component of their defense. And today we get to see her play a lot more on offense, using those throws to open up the spaces. We can see that she's capable of that same give-go style of offense that we see Revolution doing really well with. But because she's able to do those give-goes, again, it's opening up those resets for Molly Brown to continue to attack the field. Plus we saw that incredible grab. She's also really goofy, as you can see her going up and down the sidelines with her noodles. I think she just hit the announcer with her pool noodle.
She sometimes seems like the master of the chaos for Molly Brown down here. They bring their own party atmosphere. They've got smiles on their faces. They trail by 1. The team from Medellin in Colombia coming out on offense in the second half. Revolution in the pink, Molly Brown in the white. It's Colombia and the USA. That disc is caught in the breeze. Read beautifully. What a fetch that is for Uribe. Cartagena. Manuela. Torres. Torres, the 3 World Games players connecting beautifully. That disc from Cartagena caught in the breeze again. No problem for Manuela. She just rises and times a jump. And Torres is Ospina in the far end of the end zone. That quick offense from Colombia, so difficult to stop.
It looked like they may have been running a handler dominator. What that means, it's kind of like a 3-person weave that we see in basketball, where those 3 handlers have the entire width of the field to work with, really looking for a big and quick continuation. You see that Ospina just times that continuation to the break side of the field really effectively. I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but again, I was really excited to see how some of these elite level throwers use the wind to their advantage. And it almost seems like the Revolution players are playing with the wind. Like, you can just tell that they're having fun putting the disc up into the wind, knowing that their athletic receivers are going to come down with it over Molly Brown.
Well, the disc was right up high in the air on a couple of occasions. Manuela, so determined, adjusts her run, times her jump, and gets up ahead of the Molly Brown defender on both occasions. You see they're trying to pump themselves up. I was chatting to Maurizio Moore about Elizabeth Mosquera, who has the disc in her hand now. She's been puller on this D-line. She's started going along to track sessions to improve her already massive sprinting speed. And after a couple of going along to track sessions, the coach there said it wondered if she wanted to run in the college championships, which she did, and won her race, a 400-meter race, by about 20 meters.
I'm not shocked by that at all.
Applegate with the disc now. Batcher sends it, Pitt Caithley underneath it, and it was a blind defense by Mosquera. Didn't know where the disc was, just jumped up at it, but Caithley wasn't put off at all. She gets up there as well. Back within 1.
You can see when Bacher catches the disc, she turns with her momentum into the center of the field and immediately sets herself and able to put that out to space for Becathley. You know, it was a small window and the window was closing, but it didn't look like Mosquera had the perspective of where and when the disc was going to come. And Lisa Becathley just reads it perfectly, gets up, and is able to come down with it even with a bit of contact from the Revolution defender.
Yeah, Mosquera was probably watching Pitt Caithley's eyes, trying to work out where the disc was coming from behind her. Waved the arms frantically in the air, didn't quite make contact on that occasion.
I'm going to continue to love watching Mosquera and Pitt Caithley match up in this game. I think that both players on both sides of the disc, it's always a battle for who's going to come down with it. They also are, you know, really fast and great at initiating their respective offenses. So that's going to be one of those matchups, again, with Miner and Mish Phillips. Those have been my 2 favorites so far.
Does tend to be the fastest and tallest athlete from the opposition that marks up against Mosquera. She's a real handful to try and contain with her speed and height. Torres across the field to Cartagena. Manuela was available, but the disc from Cartagena finds its way through the gaps. Now it's with Ospina. Around to Cartagena. Just throws that fake. Taggart bites hard on it. Opens up the space and then goes back the other way. This is really excellent work. Oh, just as we were saying how good it was. Angel puts out a hand. It bobbles off the fingers. Not sure she was the intended target of that swing pass. Pelletier. Across the field. Molly Brown with a chance. Oh, and it's a turnover. Gone to ground. Maggie Chen not able to collect it. Alex Hardesty sets up. Big wide arms. Trying to stop Torres down the line. Cartagena not quite in the front of the end zone. Looks left. Ospina is there. Back to Torres. Cardenas. Across the front of the end zone. Cartagena tries to keep her toes in, but she'd already dived and her elbows were on the floor as she caught it. Looks for that break side. That fakes are so good. Pulls the player out of the way. Just pops it into the end zone. Gina Cartagena's fakes are opening up so much space on this field. They establish that 2-point margin once again, 10-8.
Gina Cartagena, when she has the disc, you can see that she pump fakes and moves her mark all the way to take away that around backhand. I mean, you have to respect that throw because that's a throw that she's already burned every Molly Brown mark on thus far in the game. So you see her mark shift all the way around and it opens up that inside score for Lillian Weaver.
Let's have a look at the action here again. Look at that fake. And then Weaver available at the back. Has to go to ground to fetch it ahead of Chastain, but she does so. Columbia ahead at the moment by 2. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
Welcome back to Cincinnati. The pull's gone up and it's already in the hands of Applegate. Shofner rises one hand. Flicks on the inside, a bid from Columbia, but Liza Minor on the receiving end of that disc from Jessie Shofner. The inside edge pumped hard into the end zone. Great play. Molly Brown scored the downwind shot with no problem whatsoever.
Jessie Shofner, again, a very elite thrower. And that inside edge flick is kind of one of her signature throws. When I saw Liza Minor taking off from that close sideline into the middle of the field and the force being, flick on Shofner, I knew exactly where she was going, having watched her play for so many years.
The wind is coming, if you're on the main camera above the field, the wind is coming from the far side and from the left. So our end zone off to the right is the downwind end zone. That disc from Shofner with the inside edge just up, caught in the breeze and carried beautifully into the hands of Minor.
Had she put any more edge on that disc, it would have probably just popped right over Liza Minor, but Shofner has such good control over the edge of the disc that she just exposes just the slightest edge so that it doesn't get picked up into the wind to carry over Minor's head.
And you were talking about using the wind as a thrower, and this is throwing in these crosswind, diagonal wind conditions is something that you can only do through reps, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I've been having a lot of fun today throwing in the wind, and it's, as a thrower, watching these throws come off, it's like my dream.
Torres for Revolution. Manuela. Middle of the field, finds Torres. Cartagena runs that one down. Clever defense from Slattery to take away the downline option. Cardena's not even looking at the downline option, looking for Cartagena. Now she throws into the end zone. 3 Molly Brown players just doing enough to sweep that one away. Stall out is the signal. It's going to come down. Uncontested stall out from Cardenas. It's going to come back and break pressure from Becca Miller. Someone you wanted to draw attention to earlier, Robin.
Yeah, Becca Miller, I had the opportunity to play with her before I tore my ACL on the USA mixed team for London, and she is such a hard worker. She's been battling injuries over the last few years, and it's really great to see her out on the field again, nice and healthy, because she's known for making just incredible jaw-dropping defensive plays.
Chastain initiates with a quick pass. She has it back now, looks downfield, low release. Great control into the wind. Lizzie Laurie back to Chastain, swings to this near side. Slattery downfield, drops to the knees to collect. Knocking on the door, but the pink shirts are arriving in bulk. Can they find a way through? This upwind score, so key. And get them back on serve with a break. It's a cross to Slattery again. Chastain continues the movement. Round, there's nothing the diving Colombians can do. It's safely made its way to Lizzie Laurie. That's the break to get them back on par. 10 apiece. Amazing work from Molly Brown to take maximum advantage from that turnover.
I think the unsung hero of that point for Molly Brown was Dina Slattery. You see that she's able to, help generate that defensive pressure. She's going with her legs, creating all of that space for Chastain to throw to. She was able to fight through some contact to get open in a small space against Torres, who's known in the division as one of the premier handler defenders. So to see her just generate the movement, the space, even though it wasn't anything that was flashy, I mean, she really kept the Molly Brown offense moving after she was able to get that poach block.
Well, we've seen both of these teams build up a little bit of momentum, have the other team come back a little bit. How much of the mental game do we now need to focus on? Coach Mauricio Moore out there with the hat, talking to the team in pink. What's he saying to them to build them back up? They've conceded a couple of points. They've conceded that break upwind. Now they've got to come and make their own offense upwind. What are they thinking about?
I don't think Mauricio Moore has to honestly do a lot of in-game coaching. I think that he's got this group of women who've been playing together for years. They've gotten so many reps together in high pressure situations, and he just has to go and remind them to play their game.
Laurie gets the leg out, Slattery gets the leg up to try and stop that pass. Movement via Ferrero. Good to see her back on the pitch after she took an injury sub earlier in the game. Oh, that break was a little bit too much, a little unexpected as it came out fast. Lillian Weaver not seeing it until very late on. And Molly Brown with an opportunity for their third point in a row, getting themselves back into the lead. They've recovered well in this second half. Shofner on the brick mark. Across to Slattery. Hardesty cutting, but goes back to Taggart. Into the end zone, pressure, it's diving and it's down and the wind, there was contact but no call. And Columbia Revolution have it back.
I think Maggie Chen's gonna wish that she had bid just a little bit earlier before that Colombian Revolution defender did.
It was a dicey dish. Slattery couldn't quite get a hand to it, but just did enough to stop it from arriving in the hands of Cartagena. And Taggart for Molly Brown with another opportunity. That is a nice disc, but it rises on the breeze just a little bit too much.
One thing you'll see Gina Cartagena doing on the mark, you can tell that Revolution is really focusing on taking away the around. She's positioning her body to take away that around low backhand from Taggart, and she's checking over her inside shoulder to see what threats she needs to respond to in that inside lane.
I think there's going to be a timeout called here. Yes, there was. The battle cry from Jessie Shofner when Molly Brown lost that disc. They were so determined and frustrated that they've lost the disc after having such a great opportunity to score. She was just shouting at the team with anger and frustration and encouragement. You said she was a field general, but really bossing the play out there.
You know, she's very fiery, you know, on and off the field in terms of what she brings to this team. She's going to do everything in her power to get her teammates super fired up and just ready to play defense and do their jobs and then get the disc back on their goal line.
Remember the first time we came across Shofner on the international stage was under 23s, and I was chatting to Jolie Lang, photographer for Ulti-Photos, amazing photographer, and I was following her on Twitter, and she said, I've got another addition to my collection of Jessie Shofner layout shots, because Jessie's layout form is just textbook, and she does it so consistently and throws herself around. You know, to look at her, she's not the tallest player by any means whatsoever, but the power, the spring, and her Callahan video, if you ever in need of some inspirational ultimate footage, go find Jessie Shofner's Callahan nomination video. It's something very, very special. She brings a lot of spirit and energy to this team with her personality as well as with her play.
I mean, she's left her mark on every single team that she has played on in the women's division. I mean, she's just a real leader in US Ultimate on and off the field, and I'm not shocked that USA Ultimate chose her to be one of their Live Ultimate brand ambassadors, you know, to kind of follow and promote her as an athlete.
Initiation pass out to the sideline for Revolution. Looking around, Weaver to this near side, Fry. What a disc from Valeria. Finds Cartagena downfield for the first time in a while. Looking back for some outlet. The stall count gradually getting higher. That disc is going to fly. There's going to be pressure underneath it. There was contact. She's kept it alive. Unbelievable action from down on the field, rescuing the disc. She threw it. She caught it, but there was contact in the middle. And now still riding the luck. Weaver with the disc now. For Revolution, if they can score this, they will know they have been in a tough fight. It's a pick call in the middle of the field and the disc will come back.
I'm actually kind of excited that the pick call happened because there were so many big plays that just happened. I kind of need to catch my breath up here in the commentary booth. I don't think I could have handled another big catch. The reaction time after that disc had been tipped, the player on Revolution misread it and she was able to just get her hands underneath that, react in the moment and get it to keep the disc alive. We saw that big swing pass. You know, to see Slattery and Weaver have to go and attack the disc. You know, normally when the disc, when it gets windy like this, you know, the quality of play tends to decrease. I don't know. I think the wind is actually enhancing the excitement of this game.
It's definitely creating a lot of tension between these two teams. Have to sharpen up everything about your game in the wind. The slightest error is amplified. Air under the disc. So to clarify the rule is if you're not sure, you cannot catch your own disc. But as soon as contact has been made by another player, then it's essentially another pass has occurred and you can then go and collect it again, which is what happened there. The Colombian player throwing it, it was tipped off the top of the stack and she went and caught the garbage that almost landed on the grass, just keeping it alive. Desperation stuff. The passion from this Revolution team wanting to win this one so badly against Molly Brown. And the call is going to stay where it is. Shofner coming in to mark. Cardenas to Torres. Torres fakes downfield. Cross to Valeria. Cartagena looking into the end zone. Can she find something here? Cuts coming, floats it to the back corner, and who's waiting there? And a pick has been called, and it will come back again. We get to see Valeria's Cardenas' celebration run, but it's no avail. It will be coming back out now.
You can tell that this group of Revolution players has been playing together for years because of the amount of trust they have. You can see them setting up cuts, you know, 1 or 2 passes before the disc gets to where they need to be. Looks like we have another pick call.
So Benji Haywood, a game advisor. He's one of a few full-time ultimate professionals in the UK, coach of St Andrews University ultimate team, and he also does some part-time work for the UK US competitions manager. between those two. He manages to hold down a full-time job in Ultimate. We're very jealous of him.
I mean, what I wouldn't give to just be paid to do Ultimate all the time. Talk about a dream job.
Well, Robin's putting a CV out there right now. If you want to pay Robin to do full-time Ultimate somewhere in the world, I think she's keen.
It'd be best if it was in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay, no moving away. We'll travel for 100 miles?
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Timeout's been called down here on the field, and frankly, we could all use a bit of a breather. Revolution on the doorstep of
Actually, I think
extending
Molly
their lead.
Brown rescinded their call.
Oh, so it's
they counted it as a goal, yeah.
My apologies, Robin, yes. So Valeria Cardenas cutting into that back corner. The connection between Revolution counts. The conversation is the game advisor coming in to take that conversation on. And great spirit from Molly Brown. We need to applaud that. In this sort of tense situation, you often don't see those calls that should be rescinded, but just been taken back. But great play from the team from the USA.
You can see that Jessie Shofner was, really level-headed in terms of how she went into both of those discussions and ended up, again, Molly Brown rescinded 2 calls in the upwind end zone for a very crucial point. So, great spirit of the game. It really shows self-vitiation can work, even at the highest levels.
I mean, I don't know about you as a player, but as a commentator, maybe it's different because we're on a show field where there's cameras and big screens. But we've seen generally a very, very high quality of spirit here at this World Ultimate Club Championships.
When you get to see it at the highest level, showcase field, really important game because this helps determine seedings for the bracket. To see that teams are willing and able to just play with that level of integrity when the stakes are high, it's like the pinnacle of our sport.
Minor. Pick Caithley opens up the shoulders and spins into the end zone. There's a bid, and is it enough? No call comes. What a D that is. Laying herself out horizontally, the 57 shirt of Montana. Not really involved in the game so far, but really making a play, making a mark, and a vital D. She comes for the disc now. Cardenas supplies. Mosquera down the line. Keeps her feet just inside the edge of the end zone. Running down the line, Montana. Oh, so it's Cardenas to her sister, Manuela Cardenas. We've not seen the both of them on the field at the same time very often in this game, but they are now. The 18-year-old twins, superstars of South American and, in fact, World Ultimate. And here's Valeria now. Mosquera cuts back. The disc skills of Valeria are exceptional. Floated beautifully into the wind. Mosquera just walks onto it. And then the cut comes back. She's available again, floats it over the top. There's going to be a bid, and it's all too easy. Picked off by Lizzie Laurie, positioned and read perfectly by her. Pick Caithley now. Looking down the other side, into the wind. Brings to Applegate. Downfield to Kulapak. Into the end zone. Can she do it? Runs out of energy. Lizzie Laurie asking a lot from defense at one end of the field. Not quite got the energy to chase that one down, Robin. Frustration for Molly Brown.
The last 3 turnovers are all examples of maybe fatigue setting in, but we have these world-class throwers just rushing throws. If Caithley sets herself on that first one instead of throwing it really quickly, I think she would have been able to put that flat and put that to where she wanted to. We could see Cardenas rushed that flick. We saw Minor just kind of rushed that backhand just a little bit.
Can they tidy up these errors? Critical moments here. Colombia with it now. Chance to get that 2-point lead.
We see Mosquera was really getting off to the races and attacking to that deep space. Had that pick call not happened, I wouldn't have been surprised if we would have saw a deep look to her.
Valeria spins the disc back to Rojas. Across the field to Young. Mosquera. The timing of the cuts from Revolution, not quite what it was earlier in the game, and the disc from Mosquera, she rubs her eyes in frustration. A turnover.
You could see the space she wanted to hit, but put the wrong edge on that forehand.
Weariness setting in, perhaps, as Robin called it. Mish Phillips chasing that one down, not quite quick enough. It's in the hands of Laurie. Going to Grant to keep that alive, Applegate. Sends the big arm. There's going to be pressure underneath this. Can it be red? And a D, cleanly taken out of the sky. Rojas, no mistake. And a timeout called. Relief for all of us.
Applegate saw Picathley going into the deep space, and it was vacant of both Mish Phillips and Elizabeth Mosquera. I mean, I would take that matchup. The wind maybe just got the best of her on that throw. We'll have to see it, you know, after this timeout, which team is going to adapt again to those gusts of wind. Are the throwers going to set themselves and take that extra second to make the throw that they're looking to use to attack those spaces?
And just talk about the rest of the tournament from here. This is power pools, so we're going for a seeding in the bracket play. If a team take a loss from this game, what does that mean for them, both from the tournament point of view, but also mentally, having lost to a key game to a top team?
I mean, for Molly Brown, they want to win this game, not just to set themselves up for success at Worlds. I mean, they're looking to avenge a loss from the U.S. Open, where the first time in the women's division we saw an international champion. I mean, Revolution wants to make this route to the finals as easy as possible. I mean, they could have the dream story with how much promotion and how much time they've spent writing this narrative and really putting it out for the world to hear and see and live and experience with that crowdfunding campaign. I mean, there's a lot at stake for them. Neither one of these teams wants to have a more difficult semis game. We just saw Fury lose to Riot. Riot looked like, I mean, the team that we're used to seeing them. They played very clean ultimate in this previous round on the same field. I don't think either one of these teams wants to have to face them in semis. Not that either one of them wants to have to play Fury either.
No, there's no easy games at the World Ultimate Club Championships. The Ohio breeze blowing across the Lebanon Sports Complex as we see Valeria Cadenas open up the shoulder to Elizabeth Mosquera. Acres of space, she floats it into the end zone, going to ground with a double-handed grab. Manuela Cadenas gets a hug from Claire Chastain. Champions appreciating each other's skill and passion.
Not just, I mean, champions appreciating each other's, you know, skills and passion. I mean, Manuela actually plays with Molly Brown during the United States Club Series. So she played with Molly Brown last year, came to Denver for one of their training weekends as they prepared for nationals, and played a huge role for them defensively at the club championships last year. Seeing their roster for club nationals this next year, she's going to be joining them again. So as soon as Worlds is done, I mean, they're going to be teammates again.
What an amazing prospect that is. I did think there was a viral post went up, which actually turned out to be fake, that Valeria Cardenas was going to go to University of Oregon.
As it turns out, Lillian Weaver was at the University of Oregon, and then she has spent the last couple of years, I think, in Columbia. And from what it sounds like, Lillian was logged into Manuela's Facebook account. And actually, Lillian Weaver is going back to the University of Oregon.
Okay, so it was an accident?
Yes, it was an accident.
It was an accident.
When I saw that, again, as a coach in the college women's division in the United States, I was like, oh my gosh, can the University of Oregon get any more just extremely talented throwers? We already have to deal with Ella Hansen. We have to, Haley Walrus, I mean, thrower after thrower after thrower. The University of Oregon fugue. And I took a huge sigh of relief when I found out that that wasn't actually happening. It made me feel so much more confident going into this next college season, knowing that I didn't have to coach against Manuela Cardenas.
The 18-year-old Cardenas twins, part of this Revolution side, have created quite a stir in the 3 years they've been on the international circuit. Been on the junior circuit before that as well. You see their coach, Mauricio Moore, the program he's built.
I will never forget when Heist was in Mexico at the Pan American Ultimate Championships. Manuela Cardenas had the most insane catch over one of my best friends, and I was just like, oh my God, she's only 16. How did she do this? I mean, she climbed the ladder, and I mean, she almost jumped over my teammate. I'm sorry, Jazz. I had to say that because it was one of the most incredible plays I'd ever seen live in person.
Mosquera's pull was so close to being perfection. Downwind, across the wind, but it just floats and lands outside the field. 12-10, Columbia within 3 of taking this game. Molly Brown needing 5 points. They're coming back up the downwind now with Shofner. Sends it into traffic, picked off. And a call back on the play.
Looks like she was fouled on that throw. I was going to say, that's not a typical Shofner throw. She doesn't usually throw them too low. If anything, she might overthrow her receiver because she's so powerful. Certainly not known for underthrowing people.
I follow Jessie on Twitter, and it's generally gym work and gym work.
And also a lot of commentary on, women's ultimate and what it's like to be a female athlete in a male-dominated sports world.
Absolutely, and she's an outstanding ambassador for that topic. Pick Caithley now. Back to Chastain. Pick Caithley.
Seen a lot of switches downfield from the Revolution handler defenders.
Ives back to Chastain, and a block comes in right at the last minute, protecting that downwind end zone. The team in pink giving themselves another chance to work it, the full 64 meters upfield, but they're doing it with one pass at the moment. Mosquera the target, Pick Caithley underneath it as well. Oh, Mosquera did all the hard work. Pick Caithley sucked underneath, but doesn't stay in the hand. Molly Brown advancing quickly to Shofner. The field is very spread, the defense are all everywhere. Michelle Phillips cutting back across. Mosquera's got back onto Pick Caithley now, looking more organized. Pressure relieved for a moment. Chastain cutting across. Gets it through to Applegate. Applegate back to Chastain, who ducks away, almost as though she knew Valeria Cadenas was lying in wait, lurking. Momentary lapse of concentration. And Valeria quickly steps in, picks up the disc. Michelle Phillips is the target. She's going to have to bid on. She cannot get there.
Mish will be the first person to tell you that she's not the most comfortable doing those types of full extension layouts when she's at full speed. That was something she talked a lot to her Heist teammates last year about, like wanting to just get more confident and just getting that instinct back.
She's quite a slight player, isn't she?
She's so good in the air. That's what she's known for, and that's what her comfort zone really is.
Minor. And the disc is going to come back for a pick.
You can see how spread the Molly Brown offense is once maybe we change the camera angle. There are so many options for Minor as a thrower. She just has to wait to see who moves into what space.
Shofner available. Shofner opens up that inside flick. Oh, so sad to see the disc flying beyond Claire Chastain. She stopped her cut into the end zone very early, realizing, as you'd said, Shofner with that has the potential to overthrow her receiver due to her power. She grips her teeth onto her shirt in frustration.
Unlike that earlier inside forehand deep look that she threw to Liza Minor, she exposed the edge of the disc just a bit too much. The wind took it away from Claire Chastain. She wasn't able to catch up.
What a put this time. Michelle Phillips is right in the firing line. Valeria Cadenas showing the power, and eventually, after multiple turnovers, they get it down there. 2 turnovers for Revolution, 3 for Molly Brown. It's a break. And a monster number of passes for Columbia as well. They threw the disc 23 times in that last point.
When Cardenas wound up, saw Mish Phillips going deep, it was really exciting. We knew that where she was going to attack, we knew that was going to be a break and a quick score.
Well, they have the 2-point margin once more. So we'll be back in a second.
Heat illness strikes kids and adults alike during summer workouts. Watch for muscle cramps, fever, nausea, headache, weakness, or feeling faint. Act fast to get cool and get fluids.
So 2 breaks back to back. Columbia with a 3-point margin. They're within 2 of the victory here. As the big arm opens the long disc downfield. That's a frustrating bobble between the legs from Sarah Taggart. It's going to allow the defense to arrive and put pressure on deep in the end zone. Callahan territory this. And it's a zone look from the defense from Columbia. Pink shirts arranged around the disc. Again, we see this tactic of not looking at the disc. They glance behind them, but most of the attention is downfield, looking at where the options are coming from. That's how they know how to adjust. A lot of younger players will just focus on where the disc is. Doesn't allow you to be a very effective defender, but the Colombians taking it to the complete other extreme and just facing the other way completely. Signaling. Can they move it down the line? Eventually they manage to relieve some pressure. Tuig. It's a great disc from Tuig. Get it over top to Taggart. Back to Tuig again. Down the line. It's going to flow. It's going to hang. Pressure. Ospina reaches up. Contact made. No foul call.
Chelsea Tuig maybe tried to get a little bit greedy on that pass. I think if she would have kept it down just a little bit, she would have been able to complete to knee win up that sideline.
Ospina finds Beltran. Down to Molina. Cartagena going to have to chase this one down. Ospina, she lays, and there's a bid on it as well, but Ospina comes up with the disc. The finest of margins, they're clinging on. Cartagena again. Colliding with each other in the stack as they come out. A pick has been called.
Molly Brown's really tightening up their defensive pressure, and if the Columbia Revolution players continue to stay very close to each other, we're going to see a lot more picks in this end zone set. They're going to have to really improve their spacing so that, you know, they can establish that flow and those give-goes that they really want to do in their end zone set.
Over the top, reaching up high, it's Manuela Cardenas. The connection between Cartagena and Cardenas puts Revolution within 1. Molly Brown unable to find an answer. 3 breaks on a row, 4 points in a row for the team in pink. Are they going to roll this team all the way to the finish?
You know, you can't count Molly Brown out. I mean, they showed us at the beginning of the game, and again during the middle of the game, they're able to go on runs, right? It's not just a game of Revolution dominance. We've seen both of these teams have to go on runs to keep their team alive, really. Both of these teams are so mentally tough. You can see in their body language, you know, they don't look like they're defeated at all, you know, and their energy isn't too high, it's not too low. These are 2 teams that embrace that championship mindset.
Molly Brown coming out on offense, downwind, needing to score, and then needing to come back out and needing to break.
We see a tall defensive line again for Revolution to protect that downwind end zone, knowing that Molly Brown is very aggressive with their deep shots when they get a cutter out into that open space.
We saw a zone from the first time from Revolution in the last point. Do you think we'll see another one here?
We might see some poaching into the lanes, but I don't think this line is usually what we see running zone for Revolution. I'd love to be surprised.
Well, they very much look like they've gone to a one-on-one defense. Chastain initiating. And Molly Brown signaling the pick. Dina Slattery. Back to Chastain.
We see Jessie Shofner and Dina Slattery in the middle of the field, probably going to be attacking opposite spaces.
Slattery, exactly as you called, Robin. Going one way, Shofner going the other. Chastain staying back to anchor this handling line. And the throw downwind, the top of the disc pushed down by the breeze. And Revolution with an opportunity to close this one out.
Right as Claire Chastain wound up for that low release forehand, you could almost hear that wind gust in the microphones. I mean, it was really unfortunate because she set up a really good throwing lane.
Cardenas out to Mosquera. On the far side of the pitch is Phillips. Phillips down the line. Still available, Phillips in acres of space, but it's going to be into the end zone. It's a little bit of a rush, trying to get this one finished out. Turnover, Molly Brown have another opportunity.
I would have liked to see the thrower aim just a bit more to that sideline that she was standing on. Cardenas was definitely open in the middle of the end zone, but she just needed to change the angle that she put on the disc.
Chastain with another throw. Downfield, Shofner the target. Goes out. Down to the turf.
The marking pressure that Revolution is applying to Claire Chastain when she has the disc, she doesn't have a lot of time to get some of these throws off. I mean, if you have that type of separation downfield with Jessie Shofner heading into the end zone, you kind of at this point have to shoot and hope that she's able to come down with it.
Young gets the disc back. Whips that forehand downfield. Mosquera the target. They score it, they win it. The team in pink have got a 15-10 victory against Molly Brown. It looked close all the way through, but eventually they got the D-line rolling. 4 breaks to close it out. It's an enormous win. Cartagena, 8 assists. The story of this game has been a really strong finish from the team in pink. Columbia win it, 15-10.
I really enjoyed watching Valeria Cardenas just really exploit the wind and use it to her advantage. You see how she really drops that shoulder with that upwind huck. She's able to get so much force, so much power, and keep that inside edge going into the wind. I don't know about you. I feel like I'm going to go home, maybe go to some field out in the corner and practice my throws right now.
Valeria Cardenas' sidearm has been a delight to watch. She just seems to be so fluid, but the power she delivers into the disc, the 18-year-old, a real throwing phenom. And she wasn't on the field for the sort of first 6 or 7 points of the game. It was her sister Manuela, and then she stepped up and immediately started throwing these deep discs downfield.
Yeah, it was like Revolution knew that the wind was going to pick up, that they know some meteorologist somewhere, that they just needed to save her for those upwind hooks when the wind was going to start picking up again.
And this is a beautiful shot from our aerial camera. The two teams showing respect and a lot of love for each other, familiar with each other from that 2 games at the last US Open. A lot of respect. Chatting to the coaches, were excited about this rematch and pleased to be able to meet them in a power pool game, which they know a defeat here is not the end of their tournament. See some of the highlights of this game. The pool noodles. Deep shots aplenty. Michelle Phillips at the edge of the field. Last grabs to keep the disc alive. An amazing defense all the way through. Both teams pulling out everything all the way through the game. But that last 5 points to Revolution, no answer from Molly Brown. They ran away with it in the end. From myself, Tom Stiles and Robin Wiseman in the commentary booth. It's been an absolute pleasure to bring you this game from the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. We'll be signing off, and don't forget to stay with us all this week for more coverage.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.